This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Wrong guy.
Okay.
Yay!
Rich Eisen with Albert Breer.
Yes.
And there's something a little interesting in front. Talking little Tua, little Herbert, little tackle.
A little QB talk.
Yeah, and then it goes into
Dolphins. So he has
just
set the scene for us now.
try to get it quick.
So it's a Rich Eisen podcast.
Yep.
They've got Albert Breer on. Albert, and they're talking quarterbacks and tackles. And then Dan Marino comes up, and the conversation of Herbert and Dan Marino, apparently. Let's hear it for ourselves on the Rich Eisen Show.
You're probably going to have to be bad to get any of the quarterbacks at the top of the draft. And so I have a hard time swallowing the Dolphins just completely passing on the position. And I think if they do stick, I think they would take Justin Herbert over Tua. I can't find anybody who thinks they're taking Tua. But I have heard that little kind of nugget there that maybe they take a tackle and think that they can get Jordan Love later on. So definitely some moving pieces with them at 5, and then, of course, at 6 with the Chargers, who I think would be in play for Tua. I think would be in play for Herbert and, again, another team that you look at and say maybe they take a tackle at 6. So there's a lot of smoke out there on both those teams, but those two are certainly sort of the pressure points for the quarterback position.
Let me make sure I heard that correctly. You, Albert Breer, Sports Illustrated Albert Breer, MMQB Albert Breer, have not spoken to a soul in the last 24, 48 hours, what have you. You didn't add that time frame. I'm throwing that out there. You haven't spoken to anybody who thinks the Dolphins are taking Tua at 5 if there's a choice between Tua and Herbert. Is that correct?
And you know what the beauty of it is, Rich? Maybe that means they are taking him. But I
Okay, now this is the stuff about Marino and blah and all that.
I've heard that Justin Herbert has a fan in that organization. You know who that is?
Stephen Ross?
Dan Marino.
Oh, I've heard of him. Okay. Well, it's better than Laces Out Ray Finkel. What about Marino? Walk me through that one.
Well, I mean, he's done. He's sort of tangentially involved in everything else, and so
sure.
He was part of the. He'd sort of jumped into the process and had done some work at the Senior Bowl, and obviously Herbert had a really strong Senior Bowl week, and so I've heard that he likes Herbert. So that's sort of an interesting nugget there. I think, part of it for the Dolphins, of course, is, sort of looking at their 3 first-round picks and knowing the reality is that Joe Burrow's not an option for them, right? So you look at the picture of it, and, I think part of it is they know they have to fill their tackle need, and how do you view Tua's medicals, and then how do you view Jordan Love versus Justin Herbert? It's interesting the way all of those pieces have moved, but I have not talked to anybody who thinks the Dolphins are taking Tua. Again, that might mean they're taking him. We'll see.
All right, so there you go. And so Barry Jackson tweets out, and thanks to Carlos Sanchez passing it on to me, certainly tilting towards Tua. From chatter in the past 24 hours, talked to NFL Power Broker last night who said he would be very surprised to see Flores take Herbert because Herbert's personality doesn't fit alpha leader demeanor Flores likes in his QB. We'll see. And to me, that's my biggest problem with Herbert. He's not a dog. That's why I think the Dolphins' interest in Herbert is more smokescreen than anything else. Because Dan Marino is like the perfect alpha dog I've ever seen at quarterback. Okay, I know those of you that are young, you just can only hear the stories, but we watched it. And I love the man that wants to take control, the guy that's going to call people out if they're not running routes, the guy that commands respect. Okay, because that's what Dan Marino did. I know because I covered him. And I know how players thought about him just being 10 feet next to him. They felt like the aura. You understand what I'm saying? And that's because there's this badass thing that happens with these guys. You can't explain it. You can't touch it. You can't feel it. Nothing. It's intangible, but it's there. Brady has it. Montana has it. Aaron Rodgers has it. Russell Wilson has it. You know, there are certain guys that have it. Justin Herbert has never shown it. Ever. Tua's got it. And so to me, that's why, while I don't trust Tua to stay healthy, I completely understand the risk at 5 because he has the it factor. So if he can keep his ass healthy, you got him. But for Justin Herbert, there's no it there. And I'm sorry, you don't develop an it factor. You either have it or you don't. Okay? Jake Plummer had moxie. He had confidence. He was cocky. He'll take chances. And he was a solid quarterback. Was never a great one, never got to that point, but he had the makeup to possibly be that kind of guy because he had that swag in him. He believed in himself, even though he may not have been ever elite, but he had that in him that it could have developed. Never did. Okay? So I'll say he's a decent quarterback. He wasn't bad, but he was decent, right?
I want to say that Jake Plummer had he's one of the top comeback guys, right?
Yeah, yes.
The guy had moxie.
Right.
He showed up.
Right. Harbaugh had it too.
If they almost completed that pass in the playoffs, man, and beat
Harbaugh had it. Now, he wasn't, again, like Jake Plummer, never got to be an elite guy. But he had the makeup of a guy that could be elite. And you can't manufacture that. And that's why, even when I hear that story from Albert Breer, I'm thinking, how does Marino think that of this kid? And then that's where I call BS. And hey, Danny, why don't you tell people out there you like Herbert? You know what I mean? Because, think about it. Any of us that watch Dan Marino, and Dan Marino sits down with Justin Herbert, come on, dude. Come on, bro. Please. I have a hard time believing that that's his Joe Burrow sitting down, cigar. Yo, what's up, Dan? Yeah, man, it's great. Joe Burrow, I can see that, dude. I can totally see Joe Burrow and Dan Marino shooting the. Okay? I don't see Justin Herbert doing that. No. Don't. Sorry. Can't. Won't do it. Can't do it. Won't do it. All right? I'm going Mike Singletary on your ass. Can't do it. Can't win with him. Can't do it.